Of course, here you have the king and the prince. And what are you going to do? We're just the lowly men of the city. These men are at peace with us. Let us dwell in the land and trade in it. For behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men agree to dwell with us and become one people. By the way, they know they're rich because they paid cash for a piece of land, to put their tents on, so they know they got money and property. And oh, by the way, now we're going to see not only are Jacob's sons being deceitful in what their plan is, but also we find out that the king, whose son is a rapist, is now himself going to do some deceitful things. So there is a lot of, and the poor Dinah in all this situation, right? You have all these men.
Is she pleased with this situation?
And nobody asked.
Oh.
Right. This is not America 2025. No one's asking poor Dinah.
And she's the only daughter.
And
So why
if
are
they
saying
did ask her, Moses is not telling us, right? I'm sure there was some behind the scenes drama. They must have been trying to console her. The brothers might have even gone to her and said, "Hey, don't worry about this. This is a temporary situation." She's like, "What?" And they're like, "Don't ask. You'll find
Brothers
out."
do protect their sister when
Well,
she's the
Who are
young.
the other daughters? Because they're saying
There's
daughters.
only one daughter at this
Yeah.
point, right?
Okay, so and they're saying daughters, so they're just
Right. All of their any future daughters, they're literally consigning whole generations, right, to this
So
thing.
their plan is they want them to stay there forever and
Yes, become one people. Yep. So you got to do all this stuff. Verse 20. Yeah, but you got to be circumcised. Verse 22. Verse 23. Will not their livestock, their property, and all their beasts be ours? This is how they're motivating them. Hey, let's do this, and we'll steal all their stuff, right? Now we know where the prince got his character flaws from, right? Only let us agree with them. Just agree with it, right? Just sign on the dotted line, right? And they will dwell with us. And all who went out of the gate of the city listened to Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of the city. So apparently right out there at the gate of the city, they took the knives out and sharpened steel and...
Well, they didn't have cameras.
The flock cameras, they're calling them nowadays, where we can't drive anywhere without being observed by Big Brother. We'll let that one go. We'll talk about that some other time. Verse 25. On the third day, when they were sore, I guess it would take some days / weeks.
That would hurt too.
I mean, personally, I don't remember, but it apparently was done to me. So, I mean, I'm sure I didn't like it
Well,
at the time.
I'll tell you, an adult is awful. I worked in a hospital where,
They would do that to adult men?
Yes, because he was going to get married.
Oh,
And-
he's marrying a Jewish bride?
Something, I don't know. But when I was working in the hospital, when I was a senior in high school, I went in to check on him, and there was blood everywhere. Because it's hard to heal that area when you're an adult.
Yeah.
They had to take him back to
So
surgery.
worse than getting your wisdom teeth pulled, your tonsils, or
I would not recommend
appendectomy.
it. Oh,
No. Well, okay. No. I
just letting you know.
I believe you. I will spread the word.
When you say this as adults, I'm thinking these guys.
Well,
have
same thing
no
with
way.
pets. You spay and neuter them when they're
Yeah,
young because they heal quickly.
they
right?
do. That's true. We all can testify.
Okay, lest we dwell on the mental image
Okay.
too much, we'll keep going. All right, so will not their livestock, in other words, let's steal all their stuff. So on the third day when they're sore, two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, which are two of the older brothers, Dinah's brothers through Leah, of course, took their swords and came against the city while it felt secure, right? Because, 3 days, you're kind of let your guard down. You're like going, oh, great, this is all blown over. It's going to be okay. We're just going to be one big happy family, right? Oh no. Verse 26, they killed Hamor and his son Shechem with the sword and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. the sons of Jacob came upon the slain. So 2 of the boys did this and plundered the city. So 2 murdered and the rest pitched in by just stealing the stuff, right? It's literally like whenever we've had civil unrest in the United States and you got a couple of people in the cities that do murder, the vast majority are not doing murder, but then the vast majority are jumping in and they're raiding all the stores and stealing and burning everything, right? So it's literally like LA riots, it's going down, right? So on the they killed them, they started plundering, verse 27. Verse 28, they took their flocks and their herds, their donkeys, and whatever was in the city and in the fields. So in other words, anything that wasn't nailed down, they were taking it, right? All their wealth and all their little ones, now they're taking the children, the human beings, and their wives.
Ooh.
And all that was in their houses, they captured and plundered. Ouch. So this is another reason, Prince, why you don't rape a young girl from another man's family with 10 brothers. Bad idea, right? Because this is the consequence, right? Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, it's like, well, here Jacob's got another problem now. The dominoes are continuing to go, right? Because while Jacob can appreciate the moment of passion of getting revenge, right? They didn't just kill the offender, they killed everyone in the whole town, except the women and the children, right? So now they took justice and they went well beyond justice. It should have been a proportional response, right? Only the offender should have been perhaps put to the sword. But now they kill his father and they kill all the men of the town, and now we're going to take into captivity all the women and the children. We're going to steal all their stuff. That sort of what's called collective punishment is unfortunately practiced. It is a sad reality of ancient world thinking. In the Christian West, we're like, no, you only put to death or you penalize, fine, or put in jail the offender. You don't punish everybody in the entire family, the whole clan, the whole town, right? The retribution stops with the one sinner, right? But in the ancient world, often it goes well beyond. It's called collective punishment. You see that today, Israel, that's going on, right? You have the Hamas terrorists, and people in the West are like, well, why don't you just deal with the Hamas terrorists? And the majority of the Israelis, I'm sorry, they've done polls on this, but they're like, no, we're just going to kill all 2 million of them. Okay, that's the same thing that's going on here, right? One person's sin, or even 1,000 people sin, the justice of that is not wiping out 2 million people, right? That's going beyond. And then how do you justify that? You say, well, they're all evil. And that's so whenever you hear people reporting in the news, I don't know, all Americans are bad, all Russians are bad, all Chinese are bad, you have this collective punishment, this sin thing going on, right? So the sins of one nation's leaders, by the way, if the rest of the world practiced collective punishment against America, our leaders have sinned a bunch post-World War II. You could even say from a human rights perspective, during World War II, we were carpet bombing entire cities. We dropped nukes, right? And we justified that in various ways, and it is total war, but we killed a lot of men, not just men, but women and children too, right? This is part of and how you get your population in that sort of mindset is you have to put out propaganda. You have to say all of these people are bad. It's not just the few apples, the whole barrel is rotten. So we just need to wipe them all out, right? We did the same with the Indians in the West. We just need to wipe them out, take all their stuff, right? So this is a sin problem across all nations, across all of humanity. No one is exempt from this sort of fallen mindset, right? So they go too far. And now Jacob has another problem. They pushed over too many dominoes. You have brought trouble on me by making me stink in the to the inhabitants of the lands, right? Because, oh, by the way, it's the clan system. They got cousins and got cousins and more cousins, right? It's going to be the Hatfields and the McCoys, right? Because you have the Canaanites and the Perizzites. Then my numbers are few, right? I've got 10 of you and a few servants. And if they gather themselves against me and attack me, I shall be destroyed, both I and my household. But they said, should he treat our sister like a prostitute? Okay, touche, good points on both sides. But Jacob's point is, okay, yeah, they violated your daughter, but you killed all the men of the whole town. You didn't kill the father and the son. You killed everybody, right? You could have just killed the father, maybe killed the son, the perpetrator of the actual crime. Maybe you could have killed the father, but then you went around and killed every inhabitant, and now you've stolen all the women and the children and all their stuff.
I like the fact that the brothers love their sister that much.
Yes.
I mean,
they did want to avenge her,
yeah.
But then they took it too far.
They did.
And that's what happens with bloodlust, right? You get worked up.
Yeah.
And it gets carried away. I mean, there's been tons of time in war where, and it happens on all sides where now every nation says, oh, we didn't do that stuff. Well, no, it happens. I'm not saying it's broadly happens and every soldier is doing these things, but it does happen where there are what we call war crimes, right? And we have international treaties where war criminals are supposed to be dealt with in a certain way. I mean, the Nazis did it not just with the death camps, but even as they were fleeing Normandy in the June invasion of 1944, they knew that certain French villages had active French resistance fighters. They couldn't prove it, but they had circumstantial evidence. So instead of going in and seizing those guys as they were fleeing and putting them up against the wall and shooting them, they just burned down the whole village and killed everybody in it, right? Which, oh, by the way, is an interesting case for the Second Amendment from the American perspective, because 20 years earlier, the French governing authorities following World War I, but before World War II, disarmed their entire population because it's not safe for people to have guns. And so when Hitler came in, they just rolled right in. As soon as the army resistance fell, we had to actually drop weapons in night drops over France, and the resistance would find them, and then that's how they rearmed their population. But they would have whole villages that would not be armed, so then when the Nazis retreated, they just would kill whole villages of French people, because they were like, well, I guess we're out of here and we're going to take some revenge because we feel pretty strongly that your people were committing acts of terrorism even though they had invaded the land and taken over. So this whole blood libel thing, this bloodlust, can just get completely taken out of context. Okay, so any questions? Because I thought you would have questions about the Mosaic Law and Dinah and the penalty for rape and violation and all that. Any questions about that stuff?
What's the penalty for rape back then?
Okay, so there were...
Did they behead them?
Did they get the guillotine? How gruesome was it?
No, I mean is now they do so much, how they've been...
Sometimes they were stoned... Yeah, you can shut this off. Bye, Internet. Sometimes they